Yes, Joy. You know, for nearly 4 decades, the Duke of Sussex, more commonly known as Prince Harry, he's been a subject of global fascination and intense media scrutiny. But after years of watching others tell his life story, he says that it was time for him to finally take control of the narrative.
I don't think that we can ever have peace with my family unless the truth is out there. There's a lot that I can forgive, but there needs to be conversations and then in order for reconciliation, and part of that has to be accountability.
In his new memoir, Spare, Prince Harry writes about the British royal family's complicated relationship he says they have with the British press, and chronicles the family dynamics that led him and his wife Meghan to step back from royal life. Share with me the significance of the title.
Within the family as such, there's the spare and the heir. My brother being the heir and me being the spare. And so I think it was just a really good opportunity to choose a title that had been somewhat used against me for a long part of my life and own that title.
To the outside world, Prince Harry and his brother Prince William have always appeared close, seemingly bonded by the death of their mother, Princess Diana, when Harry was just 12. In his memoir, Harry writes about a more complex relationship, recalling verbal and even physical disputes between the brothers. You refer to your brother as your beloved brother and arch nemesis. Strong words.
There has always been this competition between us, weirdly. Again, I think it really plays into, or is played by, the heir spare and the British press's part in that, right? They pitched the Waleses, right, of which Kate and William are now, against the Sussexes, me and my wife. They always pitched us against each other. They pitched Kate and Meghan against each other.
So when they pitched them against each other, do you think that it made them kind of go against each other?
Yeah, I mean, without question.
Harry claims members of the royal family and their staff fed stories to the press and refused to set the record straight on false reports, especially about his wife Meghan, shifting a negative spotlight onto her in order to protect other royals. You have any examples of some of those stories?
There's a whole handful of examples in the book. It's so petty, but it's the bridesmaids' dresses.
Yeah.
Right? That was a real hard one for me because I was like, we've moved on from that. But while I was writing the book, we were on version 29 or 30, all of which involved my wife supposedly making numerous people within my family cry, which just simply wasn't the case. For historical reference, like, the truth needs to be there and it needs to come from me.
How would your mom feel about your relationship with your brother now?
I think she would be sad. I think she'd be looking at it long term to know that there are certain things that we need to go through to be able to heal the relationship. I think she would be heartbroken that it's ended up where it's ended up. I think she'd be heartbroken about the fact that William, his office, were part of these stories. And William and I made a pact, made a deal that no matter what, we would never let our offices fight against each other. You think he broke that pact? Yes, no, the people that he employed broke that pact.
Do you think you have any responsibility in the breakdown of the relationship?
I'm without question, I'm sure. But what people don't know is the efforts that I've gone to resolve this privately, both with my brother and with my father.
Harry also writing about family issues with his father, King Charles, and his wife, Queen Consort Camilla, saying both he and his brother asked their father not to marry Camilla, but that he also wanted his father to be happy, writing, quote, "In a funny way, I even wanted Camilla to be happy. Maybe she'd be less dangerous if she was happy." When your father married Camilla, you wrote, "I had complex feelings about gaining a step-parent who I thought had recently sacrificed me on her personal PR altar." What had she done at that point, you felt?
I have a huge amount of compassion for her, being the third person within my parents' marriage. And she had a reputation or an image to rehabilitate. And whatever conversations happened, whatever deals or trading was made right at the beginning, she was led to believe that that would be the best way to doing it.
And what is your relationship with Camilla now?
We haven't spoken for a long time. I love every member of my family, despite the differences. So when I see her, we're perfectly pleasant with each other. You know, she's my stepmother. I don't look at her as an evil stepmother. I see someone who married into this institution and has done everything that she can to, you know, improve her own reputation and her own image for her own sake.
As his relationship with Meghan got more serious and dominated headlines, Harry believed his father and Camilla got jealous. I was surprised when I read that you're in the car with your father and your brother. Kind of casually brings up Meghan, and then casually drops in that he doesn't have enough, he wouldn't be able to support you both. How did that make you feel? Where did that come from?
It's a funny one within the family, right? My father was ultimately responsible for both me and my brother and, you know, our partners and our families. So it did seem a little bit strange that somehow the rules were being changed, or that I was being guided on a very different path, or at least my partner was being guided on a very different path, should we end up getting married.
Harry says women who marry into his family face intense media scrutiny, but when it came to Meghan, he says the British press used her race against her.
My wife is not visibly black, but that's who she is. The way that they speak about her and the way they treat her is incredibly relatable to everybody else of color.
So did it give you a better sense, being with Meghan, about how black women are seen, treated in society as a whole?
Yeah.
With the paparazzi playing a role in his mother's deadly car crash, Harry said that he feared the relentless British media coverage of his family could endanger Meghan and their son Archie.
I'm trying to put a stop to this because I can't ever imagine, and I don't want to imagine, what that would be like for me or for my kids, especially when you talk about history repeating itself, right?
Harry writes that he suggested a possible solution to the royal family, a hybrid proposal that would have allowed them to split their time between Canada and the UK while still serving the Queen. Recently, you lost your grandmother, and I offer my condolences to you. Did she ever express that she was upset at you?
For what?
Or wanting to change your role within the family?
My grandmother and I had a very good relationship. It was never a surprise to anybody, least of all her. She knew what was going on. She knew how hard it was. She never said to me that she was angry. I think she was sad that it had got to that point.
Harry says his proposed plan was ultimately denied, and his security, which was funded by UK taxpayers, was taken away from him. There was no compromise with the family?
No, which was really sad because I still to this day believe that this was entirely possible.
There are going to be people who say, why don't they either be in or get out? Because if you get out, there's no hypocrisy.
I can't ever get out. And I'm incredibly aware of my position, and I'm incredibly grateful for the life that I've had and continue to live. But there's no version of me being ever be able to get out of this. I was stunned that my family would allow security to be taken away, especially at the most vulnerable point for us.
Did you think that they didn't understand your concerns, or they didn't concern themselves with your concerns? They didn't care?
I think probably a little bit of both.
Some critics are going to say, well, you're taking private struggles, you're making money off of them, you're getting paid from it, so it's almost as if you've sold out your family.
The only way that I can protect us, the only way that I can correct those mistruths is by writing something, the truth, in one place. And I fully accept that writing a book is feeding the beast anyway.
Is there a part of you that can see you and your family going back to the UK, becoming working royals with the monarchy?
I don't think it's ever going to be possible. I don't think that, even if there was an agreement or an arrangement between me and my family, there is that third party that is going to do everything they can to make sure that that isn't possible. Not stopping us from necessarily going back, but making it unsurvivable. And that's really sad because that is essentially breaking the relationship between us. There was something in the future where, we can continue to support the Commonwealth, then that's of course on the table.
And Prince Harry says he felt the responsibility to speak out against the racism and cronyism that he says his family faced in the British press.